Faithless Hijabi provides a supportive community for young people who have left the faith, along with access to mental health services and resources. But they need your help to continue their important work. Please consider donating to Faithless Hijabi and help make a difference in the lives of these young people. Together, we can provide them with the support they need to heal and thrive.
So our next guest is Rishvin Ismath. Am I pronouncing that right? Oh, perfect. He's mute. Okay. So our next guest is Rishvin. He's the founder of the Council of Ex-Muslims of Sri Lanka, which is the only explicitly non-religious organization in the country. A former Islamic preacher for many years, Rishvin left Islam in 2013, founded the Council of Ex-Muslims of Sri Lanka in 2016, has had multiple attempts on his life, was publicly outed as an ex-Muslim in 2019, was displaced by floods, and against all those odds has been a prominent public figure in Sri Lanka and around the world, advocating for humanism and reason. A brave human being indeed. Rishvin, thank you for being part of this fundraiser, and welcome.
Hello, Seyyid, and hello, Vincent. Seyyid is a nice intro, and thank you very much. And I'm happy to be part of this program. And also, I have to thank Faithless Hijabi, Zara, and her team, and for the mental health program that the Faithless Hijabi has been doing for years. So, yeah, in your introduction, you said that my affiliation or the connection to the Council of Ex-Muslim of Sri Lanka. So, I'm happy to say that. Some of the members have get benefited from the mental health program of Faithless Hijabi.
That's amazing.
Thanks about the offer. And also, before entering to the talk, that I request the listeners or the viewers, please go below the link and do your contribution to this program because ex-Muslims are one of the most persecuted minorities in the world, and absolutely most of them, especially those who are out of the West, or even those who are in the West, also have happened to live a double life. It's giving a big mental toll on everybody. So this kind of mental programs, even though we don't have a big amount of resources to cater the need of all the ex-Muslims who's been suffering or facing this kind of mental trauma, but still, Faithless Hijabi is one of the pioneers and prominent organization doing this help. So do your contribution. Thank you. And yeah, let's we start our
Perfect. Thank you so much for that,
discussion.
Rishvin. I want you to take, if it's okay with you, maybe 5 minutes and tell us a bit about your journey out of Islam being in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has a very small Muslim population, they're a minority by far there. And to be an ex-Muslim there is you're a minority in a minority. Tell us a bit about your journey out of Islam being in Sri Lanka and the struggles of the ex-Muslims in India and Sri Lanka as a minority within a minority, in your experience?
Oh, it's a good question. Like during my school days, first I told that Sri Lanka, the Muslims population make around between 9 to 10% of the total population. It's not a very huge, so it's a minority, right? Below 10, like between 9 and 10, is a minority. But the Islamic movements are very strong within the Muslim community. So there are a lot of Islamic movements, and they do this Islamization in the community among the Muslim community, and they are well educated, well prepared, and they have the good plan A, plan B, and plan C to tackle everyone. And they have infiltrated into the education system, schools, and even into the government section, especially Islamic movements such as Jamaat Islami. So I was recruited into the Islamic movements during my early school days. So it was a systematical thing. That's that I got involved with the Sri Lanka Jamaat Islami, and then later part, I had disagreements with them. There was during one of the Ramadan, like now what we are, now what Muslims are in. Like in one of the Ramadan that I had some disagreements, and then I moved into these movements that known as Wahhabist movements or the Salafist, the Tawhid Jamaat. So then I went to that
Right.
part. So as long as I remained in Sri Lanka before I go to Saudi Arabia, I have never had any doubt about my religion. So the journey was smooth, and everything, whatever it was taught to me, that I thought, okay, it's my perfect thing. And The good or bad, I don't know. This is maybe unfortunate or unfortunate. I had spent a lot of time go deep dive into the religion and study more things than the normal Muslims or the normal mullah studied about the marriage life and the sexual life of and the slavery and how it is articulated in Quran, Hadith, and how it is supported. How what are the laws that are governing these things like even in the child marriage, how it is justified in Quran, what it is in 64 and what are the words and how the tafsirs are working and all. This is too much for an ordinary Muslim, but anyway, that I went into this one. So in 2009, I moved to Saudi Arabia for employment for a period little more than 3 years. And when I come back, and I had a lot of free time, and I was invested in the business. And during this free time, and I had my laptop and the internet. That was the first time that I had such a facility, so that I spent more time. And then then there were a lot of the racism against Muslims, racism by the majority single Buddhist uh, racist attacking Muslims in social media, and there were a lot of pages and Facebook accounts popping up against Muslims. So that I was recruited into one of the secret groups that was run by Islamists to report these pages. That was the duty of that group.
Wow.
Around 11,000, 12,000 people were there in this group. I was one of them. So while reporting this, I happened to read what is the content of these pages, and 90, like for say that 96 to 97% of these pages were like garbage, filth, and nothing. But only 2 to 3% of these pages or accounts had some constructive criticism about Islam. So these things, instead of reporting these pages, particular pages, I bookmarked them and I started following them as long as they were existing. And this provoked me that two things that really struck my mind. One of them is the marriage of Muhammad to Aisha. So when I saw this one in the form of cartoon and from the criticism from the secular people, it
Yeah.
really provoked my thought. Then my faith was disturbed, and it was a slow process. It took me like 1 year to decide that okay, I'm going to leave this religion, because it's very gradual. It's not like you are listening
Right.
to the speech of Zakir Naik for 5 minutes and asking a question, or he answer, and you
Yeah.
go to
Yeah.
the stage and say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. It doesn't happen like that.
You were
It's
very,
lie,
yeah,
because
you were very much in it.
if you are a rational person, and if you have a brain, if you have a small piece of brain between two of your ears, you don't change a religion like this in after listening to somebody for 5 minutes. It's very
Exactly.
stupidity, or it is a set up drama.
Hmm.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
happen. It was a journey for me 1 year. So after that 1 year, I really leave Islam, but still I was hiding my faith inside, and like I was questioning and presenting constructive criticism. But most of
Right.
the people thought that okay, I have moved from one sect of Islam to another one. They thought that okay, from Sunni to Shia, that I had gone. No,
Right.
that
Right.
I left the religion. And yeah, this is how. But it is a Islamist started finding, because I used to be one of them, and then they started to read. Okay, this guy has going to become a murtad, that been apostate, and he should be killed. And there were attempt by these jihadist ISIS and Sri Lankan IS wing of ISIS to my life, and but luckily I survived. Uh,
Wow.
the intelligence have reported me 6 known attempts to my life by these Islamists, but they didn't execute because they wanted to find me in isolation, because they didn't want to leave any trace, because they were planning for a bigger attack that happened in 2019 April 21st on the Easter Sunday, with a cost of 260 lives in churches and star class hotels. They carried out suicide attacks in 8 places. They were the same people, but they didn't want to kill me where they can be traced, because their major plan will be disturbed. So that's what I survived.
Is this only because you went public, or is this because they just found out you were ex-Muslim?
They found me as an ex-Muslim. I never declared myself as an ex-Muslim till that
Wow.
point. I declared myself an ex-Muslim 2 months after the blast. That was June 20th, in front of the Parliamentary Select Committee that was investigating about the Easter Sunday bomb blast. So before that,
Wow.
I never called myself an ex-Muslim. And when there was a question like, "Are you a Muslim?" Like I count a question, what decides, what is the definition for Muslim, and who has the right to decide it. Like I was uh, kind of dishing out the question, right, rather than facing it, because I don't want to say a lie that I'm a Muslim, and I don't want to also declare myself an Muslim, because I know there was this dangerous. And in Sri Lanka, like for around 40 years, they taught in the school textbooks, Islam school textbooks issued to the Muslim students free of charge by the government from the taxpayers' money, that punishment for leaving Islam is killing, not capital punishment, killing. This is taught in the school textbooks, and
Wow.
it is in this teacher's guide also.
Right. So therefore,
So
the law of the land doesn't have to get involved in there. Anyone can just do it.
that's what I said in the beginning, that the Islamists have systematically infiltrated into the government system, especially the educational sector, and they took the responsibility of writing or preparing the school textbooks, and
Mm.
this is how they did it.
Wow. Definitely. Vincent, anything?
Yeah, so I guess one of the things that I also wanted to ask you is in terms of what are your thoughts on how religious theocracies historically have imposed their beliefs on indigenous cultures? What would you say are some examples of religious theocracies stealing and suppressing cultural traditions?
Well, in the part of the world where I am living in, this is traditional practices are also uh, having a toxic influence on the people, because not only the religious, because if you go back to the history, like countries like Sri Lanka or India, you are not going to stop in one place. Like America, okay, you have a written history, like when Columbus go and landed there and the Red Indians were living and how the things changed and English is there. But here it's we have our history is mostly based on the myths. Like they claim that there was a king called Ravana with 10 heads and a peacock flight, flying peacock flight, and that worked in Mercury. Like the people. So then when you say that okay, the foreign influence like religions like Christianity or Islam or any other religion came from outside, changed our culture or our traditional way, the people go back and say that we had a great life. Okay, we don't need the Western medicine, we don't need the Western technology, so we can go back. We had a great life. This is kind of a illusion that is planted on their minds. So I don't think like uh, blaming one thing for other is not going to make any good for the part of the world where I am living, and especially for in India also, because we are facing the nationalism, and also the Sri Lanka was on the verge of being bankrupt because one of the previous president got the advices from these kind of people, and he banned these fertilizer and went to the traditional method of agriculture where the product have suddenly fall down and it was insufficient to feed the people, the population. So
They got desperate.
I don't think like what we are here is mixture of everything, like the Christian invasion of the British, the Portuguese, and the Dutch, and the Islam and the Hinduism or the Buddhism from India, and all the mixture that what we are here. So taking one out of us and saying that we had a great period before our tradition was great is not going to be the good answer to educate the younger generation. So we should stick on what we are here to move forward. That is the best thing I think for good for us.
Right, right. So how do you so how would you say like the so-called, like not everyone there is like fundamentalist type of thing, right? But how would you say um the kind of the progressives and the left, like what's not, sorry, let me rephrase that question. How are the progressives and the lefts kind of not enabling any sort of change in this environment?
Well, it's a it will be another controversial topic to define who is left, because it's like same like Islam, like one sect call that time we are Muslim, and same another sect calling these sects as infidels. So same
Right.
into the left, that one sect call we are the left and they are not. They are what do you call? They are in the payroll of the imperialists or something like that, and they have the beautiful political terms to label each other. But whatever it is, like they have kind of for religion like Christianity, they have the Bible, and the Muslims they have the Quran, and out of that they are not going to think. And the left also have something like that in the part. So they call what is the minority means that's Muslims. It is fixed. So, but we are minority between the minority. They don't like to see us. Even they don't accept our existence because they don't want to, because they have already have a plan for years. And all of the sudden that we are coming and uh, 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 identify ourselves that we are prosecuted and expressing our concerns and exposing the threats that we have, then their political agenda is going to be, or what do you call, destroyed. So they have an agenda and they don't have the brain power to alter it or remake it and make it more progressive, because they are also sticking into certain kind of books. So what they try to do is either they try to push us towards the right wing, or even if we don't move, they try to label us the right wings for the sake of their own comfort. They don't want to do changes, and they don't want to stick into the Muslims, but actually they don't help Muslims. They destroy Muslims, and they help Islam, and they help Islamists. So they don't help Muslims. If you love Muslims, you should educate them. You should talk about the people who are oppressed by the religion and who are oppressed into the community. But they don't. They don't want to. They want Muslims to remain their stupid, uneducated, and the slave of Islam, so that they can walk on their head to do their own politics. This is a very bad thing, because left from the other communities have a good life. Their children have a good education, and their girls, like daughters, have good education, good life, and good freedom. But the same age girls into the Muslim community, and especially these LGBTQIA plus people, they can't even identify themselves as what they are. But they want Muslims to remain one community, and they want to have the remote in their hand to use whatever the way they want to. But it doesn't happen because Islamists have the control, Islamists
Right.
have the hold. This left don't understand what they are doing, but they are doing the damage. I don't know. I don't call the leftists mean. It doesn't mean that 100% of the left. They are a good, understandable people who have worked with us in the past and who are in touch with us, and they are very understanding about the issues of ex-Muslims. But majority of those who call themselves as left wanted to support Islam, but they call that we are supporting Muslims. They don't support Muslims. If you support Muslims, you have to support the Muslims to get at least
Educate.
educate and
Yeah.
know the things, but they don't do. And also, certain people, time to time, appear like the mushrooms and coming and say that I'm going to accept Islam. That these people already known as progressive or leftist, or in the field of literature, or some of the progressive field in the political field, but they come suddenly and say that I am going to accept Islam. It is a great religion, and but they close all the door for social discussions with ex-Muslims. They don't care about ourselves. We put a lot of energy to educate Muslims about Islam, and just to make a small change, and they come all of the sudden and bombard and destroy everything. Because when these Muslim people see somebody accept Islam, they think, oh wow, there's something great that we don't understand. Allah has made this person to understand, so our religion is great. But ex-Muslims are telling is, we don't want to listen to this one. They do it because Muslims have a tendency of following fake news. Even if you say that Michael Jackson accepted Islam, or there was a news about Neil Armstrong accepted Islam, or Mr. Bean accepted, like Rowan Atkinson, so they don't want to double check it. They're very happy to share it. So when the
Right.
real person that they know accept Islam, they really get very overwhelmed with the faith of their religion, and they go back. What are the work that we do to liberate them, or at least to educate them, is get destroyed. And these people, they find certain thing and say that this is the thing that I'm accepting Islam. Like for example, like you want to have WhatsApp for messaging one of your friend, and you are downloading still, but you agree to the terms and condition of the everything in the WhatsApp. So
Right.
if you accept Islam, you are agreeing everything like misogyny, violence, jihad, slavery, and homophobia, bigotry.
But they don't
Everything
see
you are
any.
agreeing.
But they don't see any of that.
Yeah, but you are agreeing. Yeah, then you are delivering the same message to those people who are there. Oh, hey, I have come to your religion. You stay there, don't move. We will make a very best society together. Like that, you are giving the message. So this is happening in India. Like recently, one of the writers have accepted Islam, and it's also a good way of earning money. Like if you are from a different religion and you become to you got converted yourself in Islam and make a big publicity stunt, they have a lot of perks, free
Yeah.
tours to Malaysia, Dubai, and Mecca. They get all these
Just to tell their story.
free, yes, and
Wow.
they can start up a small charity and get a lot of donations. It's a business in one way.
Yeah, it's one of the strangest things seeing how this group that you're describing as the progressive or the left here in the United States. It's one of the strangest things how they're more than happy to criticize Christianity and criticize the Bible, but it's very difficult for them to criticize Islam. And I find myself having to constantly say, I'm not criticizing Muslims as people. I'm criticizing a set of ideas. I'm criticizing a book. And I've criticized pretty much every religious book out there that I'm aware of, but it's that one book that a lot of people here are very allergic to, and they're very scared of criticizing it. What do you think is the best way to try to convince people that they shouldn't be scared to be vocal about what they believe, to be vocal about criticizing things that they kind of feel like they shouldn't because everyone else around them is saying, hey, don't criticize that thing. It's dangerous to criticize that.
Well, first I have to understand, like when you criticize Islam, that you are helping Muslims. If you love Muslims, please criticize Islam. Let them know Islam. So this is the message that you have to deliver to them first. Like, okay, you are concerned about Muslims, then criticize Islam. This is the best way to liberate because I'm an ex-Muslim. I know that somebody that run those Facebook pages had criticized Islam and I got liberated myself. If otherwise I would have been in the status of a Islamist or a jihadi, who knows what would have happened? Like the period
Yeah.
like Ramadan, then when you are engaged in night prayers, is an easy way to radicalize people. This is how Sri Lanka Jamaat Islami did, conducting night prayers. So, but I got liberated because somebody criticized the religion. I did not even know that who run those pages, but those things helped. So if they know that when they criticize Bible, that they are not criticizing Christian people. So they know the difference. Like when they're criticizing Christianity, they know that they are not criticizing the Christian people. So then why don't they understand that when they criticize Islam or when they criticize Quran, it is not criticizing Muslims? Why don't they understand? No, they do. But for the political or benefit or for some other uh, hidden agenda, they try to portray it. It is a certain influential people try to do this one, and the big majority fall victim to this propaganda. And also, the term Islamophobia is very dangerous. It's very cunningly coined term. It should be Muslimophobia, not Islamophobia.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Muslimophobia. The people
Anti-Muslim
are
bigotry.
Muslims, not Islam. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yes,
should
I
say,
do.
by the way, for people in the comments, if you guys want to ask questions, we will have, we could probably ask maybe 1 or 2 questions to Rishvin here. So go ahead and send in those questions, guys, while we still have some time.
Okay.
So let's see if
So
we have.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
sorry.
sorry.
I just want, so going back to when you were saying like the when popular people embrace Islam, like I'm here in Canada and I remember years ago, if you guys remember when Mike Tyson, the boxer, when he accepted Islam, I was at like Arabic Sunday school and it was like they made a big poster and everything and they kind of sold that, Mike Tyson accepted Islam, therefore Islam is great and true. See, like Mike Tyson accepted Islam. And back when we were young, we were like, oh yeah, of course. Like, Mike Tyson accepted Islam, therefore Islam must be true. And we were saying that stuff in school, like, and I went to a public school even, right? And Canada's very diverse and all that, right? Not then back then there weren't too many Muslims, but I was loud and proud, like, did you know Mike Tyson's a Muslim now? So it really does affect the minds of young people, and it really it reinforces that, Islam must be true, because look at all these powerful and, celebrities that are accepting Islam and not another religion.
Yeah, it's the same scenario. Like in Sri Lanka, I'll tell you something funny. Like there are two figures they talk about. One is Maurice Bucaille. Like in French, I think you should pronounce Maurice Bucaille.
Oh, okay.
So he's a doctor who served as the personal physician for Anwar Sadat and then did this Saudi king. And in Sri Lanka, that they in the schools also, the Islamic teachers tell that Maurice Bucaille or this guy Maurice Bucaille accepted Islam, but he never accepted Islam. He wrote a lot of books about Islam and science to make good money from the rich Saudi Arabian kings and the Islamic department. He never accepted Islam. It was a clever. Then the second one is like about this Cat Stevens, the English singer who
Oh
sang
yeah,
about
yeah,
this
yeah.
the blue
You
blackbird
you
spoke as the first bird.
you
Yeah,
mean
father
Yusuf
and son
Islam?
and Matthew Moonshadow and all these songs. But people know that okay, the Yusuf Islam was a famous singer from England, accepted Islam, but they never know that what was the song that he sang. Even
Yeah,
they
it's
don't have they didn't pro- Yeah, but it's a big propaganda.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
my teacher told me, Islam teacher told me, like he was famous as Michael Jackson.
No,
all right,
But that
guys.
was
Well,
not.
this was a fantastic conversation. It was an absolute honor to have you here, Rishvin. And as well, all the links for everything will be in the description of the video below. This was an enlightening conversation. It was great to be able to speak with you. Thank you so much.
perfect. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Vincent, and thank you, Seyyid. And it's a real great honor. And also, I thank Faithless Hijabi. I hope this campaign will be successful. And once again, the reminder to the viewers, the links below. Support us. Thank you.
Okay. Have
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
day.
Bye bye.